My foot's going numb. Still get so nervous. Realise I can have that with me. You can't see my notes. What is going on? I don't know why the intro bit is the hardest bit to do. Once you get into the flow, it is fine. Like I forget how to breathe just to say hi. Just to smile awkwardly at you. Do you mind? It's very rude. My boiler's just chiming in right now. I feel like that's just my motto now for burlesque classes. It's just, I don't know where I am. Need an adult. An adultier adult. I'm not an adult. Hi everyone and welcome. I thought I'd just do a little video about getting into the right frame of mind for burlesque. Whether this is your own practice, you're joining me for an online class, or you're about to join me for an in-person class. As we all know, burlesque is a very vulnerable thing to do. It really is opening up to allowing you to be so in tune with your body, to kind of build up that mind and body connection, which is hard and it's scary, and we open ourselves up to being embarrassed, we open ourselves up to feeling silly and actually feeling ourselves. And I think my own belief is that I think there's so much to be said about about movement and dance therapy being related to burlesque, because we don't hide behind tricks. And I think there is so much to be said about being allowed to own your own sexuality and feel authentically in your own body. And I just find that through practice like this, we really find things that society has really built up throughout our lives of shame, that we're not allowed to feel sexy, that we're not allowed to be confident, that we're not allowed to even like ourselves, that we are fed on from our insecurities. There's so much to be said that we should be insecure so that they can financially gain from this. And I think there is something really empowering about being able to give the middle finger to all of that and to really build onto being happy in our skin and authentically mind and body connected, whatever that is going to look like. Now, obviously everyone's going to have different depictions of what they think burlesque is. A lot of people might immediately think of Dita Von Teese. As gorgeous as she is, it's not always about the glamorous costumes, although they can be a massive part of it. I think regardless of what you're doing with this, whether you're making this into a career or you're just joining in to, as I've said, really help build a nice mind and body connection, you could be doing this for any reasons. You don't have to be trying to be Dita to be doing burlesque. I could be waffling on about this forever, and maybe I'll do that for another video. But we are opening ourselves up and it's scary. So I thought I'd just give a few little tips, a few little mantras, spiels, to kind of help, really. So when we're going into burlesque, quite often we're coming in with mental worries, stresses, whatever from our day. We've all got our own big bad problems that are going on in the world, and unfortunately we can't necessarily, I was going to say can't run away from them. You can escape. I was going to say you can't escape from them. Yes, you can. You can escape for a little bit. Unfortunately, you've got to go back to them. I know, I'm sorry. But when it comes to doing a little bit like burlesque, pole, aerial, whatever it is that's your fun thing to do, it is that nice escapism that we can leave those problems at the door. And I very much want you to go into burlesque with that same mentality of like, do you know what, I'll come back to you at the end of the day, it'll be there unfortunately, but for now just give yourself, even if it's just an hour, to be like away from that, have a break from those problems. When unfortunately there's certain elements that will always kind of cling on to us, like we can't do this, we shouldn't do this, blah 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 blah. We all have them. Obviously it takes time to really tackle that bit down. But my first big tip I think is feel free to give yourself an alter ego. Give yourself a stage name, a persona, whatever that looks like. You might already have one, or it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could just be an alternative name. It could be a colour. It could be a flower. It could be a food. It could be a food. It's good English, isn't it? Anything that you want to kind of help build upon a name. I've talked about where my stage name came from, and sometimes it's just little things like, all right, do you know what? I can't do this, but do you know what? Lily can. Lily can do this. And I know it sounds a little bit building up false confidence, but sometimes it's just little things like that can really help. Sometimes when I'm having a really bad day, or like the imposter syndrome is kicking my ass, and I'm going to get a coffee from Starbucks, I'll give my stage name. Granted, it's just Lily, but like I'll go in and be like, "What's Lily?" And they'll give me my coffee, and it says Lily on it, and it's like, yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. Because it's still you. It's just the alter ego you. Like, we're not creating this like glamorization. That's not the word I'm going for. We're not building up on a false narrative necessarily. It's still you. It's just the show you that's kind of giving a middle finger to all this internal can'ts, shouldn'ts, whatever sort of thing. Equally, we can go down a bit more of a fictitious route and think of a character. Like, are we quite villainous? Are we giving a little bit of like Maleficent vibes? Are we going for witchier vibes? Are we going for a submissive, cutesy, over the top cutesy? Whatever that might be, and whether that's just for like a particular mood you're feeling that day, or if it's what you kind of want to build up more of your character. These things are still absolutely fine. I know it sounds a bit contradictory, doesn't it? But we want to build up on more of that's still you. We're just enhancing you with something, if that makes sense. So like the more like where we can kind of detach from so many things that might spiral us into such negative imposter syndromes and filled with such negativity that kind of gets built upon us from previous experiences, or I'm just going to keep blaming society because bloody society, but there's a lot of that can really build up towards having such negative disconnections between mind and body, so things like that can always help. My second big tip is have fun. I know that sounds like the biggest cliche, and it's probably way easier said than done, but have fun. Don't take it so seriously. And if you're really struggling with that one, just take the piss. That is also absolutely fine. The problem with sometimes is when we see something that seems so intimidating, because yeah, burlesque can be quite intimidating, especially when you see people that look gorgeous and you just can't help but compare. We're not trying to be so serious. It's not like some other disciplines. This is very much completely what you want from it, and sometimes it is just about having a laugh. Put on a really like cheesy show tune and just prance around. You can take the piss. Obviously, if we're taking the piss for too long, then it's like, okay, we're kind of dodging something here. But there's nothing wrong with just having a laugh. Like, we can have a laugh. It can really ease into the feeling like that you're allowed to kind of tap into that vulnerability. And also you can, it does feel weird to be so vulnerable. So there is nothing wrong with kind of just having a little bit of a laugh to ease into the scary territory that we might not necessarily have really approached before, or we have, but it's been scary. So that's usually mine as well. You also find that you become a little less rigid in your movements when you start having a bit more fun with it, and then like everyone kind of gets a little bit more loosier-goosier, and I think more creative mindsets come to play, because burlesque is a massive variety of things. It isn't limited at Dita, and it's not limited at glitz and glam. There is a massive range when it comes to burlesque, and it's really about finding where fit where you fit in with this, or what's a little bit of you, and that could be crossed with so many different things. You're like, do you know what, I really love the glam, but I'm also really into comedy. Sweet, put that together. Or absolutely love a bit of burlesque, a real thing by the way, but I love the glam. Awesome, put that together. Who says you can't have like glittery blood on your costume or something, like you've got a hand falling off but it's covered in glitter? Like, awesome. There's not limited, as long as you're not offending anyone and, you know, not hurting anyone with it. Sweet, go for it. Be mindful, but see what your creativity comes up with. And finally, when it comes to what you want to wear, putting something on that's going to make you feel good. Now, quite often I would say, like, put on your best lingerie set and just give it a little whirl, and it'll really help boost your confidence, really make you feel good. Sometimes that works, and sometimes it's just like, yeah, do you know what, I feel great. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just going a little too deep and it's too scary and it's like, it's just too much. There's nothing wrong with just easing back a little bit and be like, do you know what, I'm just going to wear a cute little bra and some leggings. Sweet. Great. If that's like, do you know what, I feel good, but I don't feel too exposed. It's already vulnerable. Let's not get unnecessarily exposed here. That's fair, and that's absolutely fine. Sometimes it's a gorgeous little leotard and some tights, or a leotard and stockings, or something that's just making you feel good, but it's not too extreme. And then other times it is like you've put on your best lingerie set and you're like, I'm feeling myself. Because that's, at the end of the day, that's the important bit, that you're feeling yourself. You're not trying to be someone else, it's yourself. Whether it's your alter ego you, your character you, but still you. These are all things like, I just feel like when it comes to building up confidence, it has to come a little bit more internally, a little bit more of acceptance and coming from some form of authenticity, and not like, we're all faking it till we're making it. Dear God, I'm still faking it till I make it, and I'm still like crippled by imposter syndrome. I don't think it ever really goes away, but since I also got a mental illness, so, you know. Moving swiftly on. There's still got like the confidence still has to come from some form of authenticity. I strongly believe that. I think that's something I continuously work on, something that I continually battle with, and that's just trying to find that when I'm feeling myself and I'm appearing to be confident, it's because I'm finding something that's warming myself, fit, that feels right, that I'm savouring the moment, that I'm enjoying myself. And I think that's quite an important lesson, not necessarily just going with you gotta fake this confidence, because to be honest, all that's really doing is just putting a plaster over a wound. It's not really tackling an issue. It's not really diving deep into like, do you know what, no, I should be allowed to feel confident. I should be allowed to feel good in my skin. And when you're supported by the best support system, which I absolutely adore within Sirens and a fair amount of the burlesque community, no community is fully perfect, but majority of the people are wonderful at fixing each other's crowns, not tearing each other down. And I think it should, if we do just put the plaster on, I think that's when you start getting resentment, that's when you start getting the pettiness, mean girl energy. Not saying that that's from you, but I think that's where that can kind of more foster, because you're not really finding peace with yourself. You're constantly fighting with a standard that even you don't think you can match up to. And then I think that's just as bad. Anyway, there's my waffle. I hope you enjoyed that. But yeah, find an alter ego name that's gonna be an extension of you. Have fun. Take the piss if you wish to. Wear something that is comfortable, that you are happy in. Whether that is sexy lingerie or it's leggings that day. It might alter from day to day. That's absolutely fine. And I genuinely believe that confidence comes from within. Let's build up a nice, healthy mind and body connection together. Right, I hope that makes sense. I'm happy to do more of these. Apologies if it's very waffly. It's my brain for you. Right, love you. Mwah. Bye.